So we left off last week, we had just filled the new tank with water, plugged it in, and realized that the water pump was a little on the strong side. We're here today to take care of that by replacing that pump with a next smaller size. So let's go fix an aquarium. So you can see the tank is running real well. It's just a little on the strong side, although today nothing is touching the surface, but it's so borderline too strong that I don't feel comfortable with it. I'm gonna have to put in the next size smaller. Our little foundation of rock, our original gravel. Water looks clear. I still need to add salt to it, and of course then get some damsels in to cycle it. But let's go ahead and pull that canopy off. And I guess this will be the first time I'm dealing with taking the canopy off, which means there's a cord for the LED lights that I have to disconnect, I believe. So this will be a learning step. So as it turns out, the LED light has a connector right there. You just disconnect it there and then lift the entire canopy off.
The custom dimension canopy, which has a laminate that matches the marble countertops, easily lifts off once the LED light's power cord has been disconnected.
Hey, you see the top of the tank with the lid. Here's the built-in filter compartment. That's where the water comes in, the heater changes, water rises up there, spills onto the drip plate, which you can see is a really goodly amount of water for the drip plate. It's a little too much. And then that is our pump chamber, and down there is the pump that we need to extract. We have to loosen that bulkhead there, and remove the elbow out of it, and then pull the whole pump assembly out, and then just switch out the water pump. And right back there is our multi-adapter for the power source. I just need to pull that out and unplug the black cord, which is the water pump.
Once I unplug the water pump, I need to loosen the bulkhead that's between the tank and the built-in filter compartment so that I can loosen it from the water pump assembly's elbow. This will allow me to remove the entire water pump assembly from the UniQuarium's filter compartment.
So as it turns out, it's a pretty simple switcheroo. It's got the little restrictor valve in here that slips over the discharge side, so we shouldn't have to make much of a change there, because not only is the new pump basically the same body size, but it also uses the same mechanism for setting it up. Oh, these guys and their damn little labels. It's basically the same pump. I'm gonna steal the little impeller cover, because this one seems to be modified a little bit. Put that on there, tighten that down there. Rubber cap on the end of the, damn it. old one's ready to go back in the box and give back to the manufacturer. And the new one, we'll take this here, this little restrictor valve here, it just slips right on, and we'll just slip that back into the system.
The reinstallation of the water pump is the same as its extraction, only the opposite. It's fairly simple, but I will admit that my description of separating the elbow from the tank's bulkhead does make it seem easier than it is. But it's all in the understanding of it. He doesn't own any shirts that have sleeves. He speaks 2 languages, English and fish. He used to drive a new van every 3 years. Now he's happy if it just starts. His new salt water is so pure now, he needs a full-wheel cart just to carry it in. He is the most interesting fish guy in the world.
I don't always make DI water, but when I do, I prefer SpectraPure. Stay pure, my friends.
Receive a $50 LA Fishguys discount on a SpectraPure Max Cap 90 5-stage RODI water purification system. Just call or go online to SpectraPure.com and mention or enter LA Fishguys coupon code LAFMAX50 to receive your LA Fishguys $50 discount. Are you still tumbling biopellets? Tired of constantly replacing your GFO? Or trying to grow algae in your refugium? And you still have algae problems? Get real. Real filtration, that is. Algae scrubbers from Santa Monica Filtration will turn this into this by growing this weekly. 2 styles of scrubbers, the Hog and the Surf. Both are extremely easily installed and noticeably effective. You want results? Algae scrubbers are the answer. Visit santa-monica.cc. Do you have an aquarium question? Are you looking for aquatic answers? Just key in wetwebmedia.com. Wetweb Media has information on freshwater, marine, brackish, and planted aquariums. Wetweb Media is staffed by the capable Wetweb Media crew. Check today's facts, ask questions, or search keywords. That's wetwebmedia.com.
Okay, so the new water pump is in. Considerably quieter. Makes a nice movement at the surface. Can't tell about the flow in the tank at the moment. And let's take a look at our water flow through the filter. Still a little bit strong for the size of the drip plate. This being where the filter pad will sit, this being our spot for mechanical filtration, I would venture to say that that pad will get plugged up fairly quick, but it's designed to overflow, which in turn will still go down through the bioballs. But the flow doesn't seem to be as strong, and you kind of tell the water level is about a 1/4 inch from the top, really. So as long as nothing gets trapped in those teeth, I should be okay. Still just a little nervous about that, but I suppose I could use that little restrictor valve on the discharge of the water pump to slow it down a little bit more, and in fact, might not be a bad idea.
If you recall, there was that adapter on the end of the return line tubing that connected directly to the water pump. Well, that's a restrictor valve as well. And to slow down the water's flow, I can close that valve. But it does require me to loosen that tank's bulkhead and unthread the elbow once again so that I can access that valve. But if you know what you're doing, it's a quick fix, and I'm ready to plug the pump back in right away.
Okay, so as it fills up, water spills into the pre-filter compartment. And again, still just a little on the strong side, but you can see that we have decreased the gap between the water level and the top of the tank a little bit. Makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. Because again, if anything gets trapped up in the teeth there at that end, water's got only one place to go, and that's up. It just gives me a little bit more room. Fudge factor, as I call it. And it is noticeably quieter, which he commented about it being a little loud, the previous pump. So we'll go ahead and do a quick little cleaning of the inside of the tank.
Cleaning of a UniQuarium is just like any other acrylic tank. Care is needed so as to not scratch or scuff the acrylic material. But I'll get more into that in the next part.
So I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, and I just mentioned it a moment ago. Pre-filter. Pre-filter is an area that we filter or mechanically trap out debris before it gets into the bio-ball or the biological section. To do so, we have to put some type of a media that traps debris in it. This tank came with a sponge that was way down in the bottom of the pre-filter chamber. I had originally pulled it out, and the reason behind that is it's just too hard to get to. You have to reach clear down into the bottom to pull that sponge out. Well, as an alternative, I've removed the sponge and I'm going to place a filter pad across the top of the drip plate. It captures the same debris, it's just one little divider later, and it's a whole lot easier to get a hold of or access. So I pre-cut a number of filter pads from a larger one. And what I'm going to do is take that pad, and there's the drip plate right there, and we're just going to place that pad on the drip plate. Now what'll happen there is it'll capture all the debris that passes through these two chambers here. It'll end up getting trapped in this pad right here, and again, that's an easy thing to remove. If for some odd reason that pad were to get plugged up and water begin to overflow, it'll just go over around the edges of the drip plate here, and of course ultimately end up down where the water pump is at. This pre-filter is what's going to trap out the debris that the current in the tank has generated and swept up into its exit there in the teeth in the top of the overflow. So it's just a whole lot more convenient to reach, and when it comes to aquarium maintenance, the more difficult it becomes, chances are the less often it gets done. Or the other way around is the more convenient it is, the more often maintenance, in this case the filter pad, gets dealt with. And so as we button up the top of the tank, here's the lid for the top to decrease some of the evaporation and some of the noise. And let's go ahead and put the canopy back on.
With the poly lids in place, I can now lift up the custom laminate canopy and plug in the LED lights.
So I'm going to go ahead and clean the outside of the tank. The next steps are to add some sea salt to the system, get the salinity up, add some damsels in there, get it cycling. So make sure to come on back for the next part. And always, as we're doing, you keep moving forward.